So I'm down on the absolutely stunning Oyster Cove, Saltern Cove and Armchair Cove this evening to record a last minute intro to our next round of lockdown interviews, which we finally managed to get back around to, having put them on pause for a month or so as we used out of lockdown. So yeah, we've tried to put a bit more context in with them, which I'll go through in this intro. But they're three artists who are exhibiting with us in the design room, which closes at the end of this week. It was a really lovely show that it closed during lockdown, and we've been really pleased to reopen, so that it actually gets to see some audiences as we start to try and return to a bit more of a normal. We've got a few more to do after this as well, but we wanted to focus on getting these printmakers in so that you can see them in the context of the exhibition. So to tell you a bit more about them, this intro is going to be at the front of 3 different videos, so if you've already watched one, this is the same intro, just skip through it. But our 3 artists, the first one is Georgina Fay. She's a printmaker based in London, and we sort of started talking about by comparing our experiences in different locations, the difference between here and London, and how that impacts. We talked a little bit more about the fact that she's currently locked out of her studio. She was locked out of her studio at the time, and how it's impacting her work. And the 10 by 10 project that she was running at the time. She's now back into her studio. Her education role is still quite limited because they're having to protect the young people they normally work with. So that's still taking place online, as it was during our conversation. So yeah, some elements still not quite back to normal for her, as they won't be for lots of other people as well. Our second artist is Simon Ripley. He's a printmaker based in Devon and works with Double Elephant over in Exeter. We had a really nice conversation, talked a lot about looking down with family and how important that is. And also about a really exciting commission he won for Exeter's hyperlocal commissioning and the work they did for that, which was during lockdown. And then he also recommended a really interesting book called How to Do Nothing. So yeah, I've spoken to Simon yesterday, and Double Elephant is slowly reopening. There are a lot of online printmaking workshops that they've now got live, and members can take bookings there. And Simon's also excited and prepping for Devon Open Studios, which is currently planning to go ahead. And our final of the 3 artists is Warren Claiborne, also based in Devon. We talked. We started off our conversation in a very British way, talking about the weather and gardening, and then we moved on to the fact that he's just returned from travelling for a long period of time, and we talked about the transition from globetrotting into a full lockdown, and how that's affected him. He then talked a little bit about his work and how that has changed without the pressure of exhibiting, how he's freer to do a bit more experimentation, and it's quite an enjoyable experience for him, which is really interesting. And then he shared some amazing Zoom tips, which we were completely blown away by. Some really good ideas for how to use Zoom, which hopefully we're all trying to avoid now, but still interesting, really interesting. They're still being really cautious, which I think a lot of us are, and I think that's really, really important to be. But what he is doing is he's enjoying a little summer break with a change of scenery, where they've arranged a very safe house swap with some friends of theirs. So that's what Warren's doing in terms of his getting some new scenery to inspire his creative practice. So those are the 3 interviews that are going to come up. Like I say, the design room's closing pretty soon, but we've got a lot of exhibitions still to come, and a few more interviews as well. So yeah, hope you enjoy this video.
But it definitely was a manic few weeks to start with. I felt a bit, just totally unsettled, because I'm not used to spending so much time in my own house.
Absolutely, odd circumstances to adapt to, for sure.
Yeah.
As I said, I mentioned you're a little bit further afield. So where exactly are you based at the moment in lockdown?
So I live in North London, and I work in Central London. So yeah, it's been interesting. I haven't actually been to central London for about 5 weeks now, which is
Wow.
weird. But yeah.
Absolutely. So quite you're sort of more in the thick of it than we are down here in
exactly, yeah. But it's interesting because I think the social isolation aspect of it is much hard in a way. It's harder in the country because I see people all the time, because there's so many people that live in London. Even if you only go out one time a day, that still means that there's loads of people. So
yeah,
in a way it's like a little bit less weird because there's still lots of people around. But
yeah,
it's weird when people like stand away from you in the street. That's been very strange.
So you said that you're working from home, and obviously we are all in this lockdown situation. How has this all affected your creative practice?
Well, the most important thing for me is that I'm a printmaker, and I mainly work in etching, and so I haven't been able to go to the studio. So basically, I haven't been able to do any etching at all. Now I kind of knew that this was going to, when lockdown was kind of suggested, I did collect lots of plates and lots of materials and things. So I have still been exploring ideas within that, but actually it's been quite good and freeing for me to, I've been doing a lot more of different kinds of art and kind of doing lots of collage and thinking a little bit more about my compositions and what I want to do and what I want to say. So even though it's kind of been a manic time, like in my head, I haven't felt so focused, but I have been able to do some creative processes, and that's been really helpful.
I guess there's removes the pressure to produce possibly, and allows that kind of more that thinking time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do find that as an artist you always feel like you've got stuff to do. Like I don't ever feel bored, and I don't ever feel like that I have free time in a way, because I just and sometimes that's really great. Like I really have found that helpful for not getting too bogged down by what's going on, but also it's kind of annoying because you always feel like, oh, I need to do this and this. So I am, but I am doing a lot more walking and exercise and that kind of, and really feel like I've much more, I think also because of the time of the year and it's spring, I've been a lot more mindful about looking at nature and really like taking the time to absorb it and things. So that's been pretty nice.
There's quite a lot of natural imagery in your work.
Yeah, and I wonder if being stuck in central London, like I think quite a lot of my work is kind of inspired by that, the fact that I don't access nature quite as much as and so that this has kind of been quite good at feeding into that as well, because now I'm not even allowed really much out of my house. So it's like,
of course, that
kind of yearning for the natural world is really important in my practice.
You're seeing lots of stories at the moment of wildlife and animals kind of reclaiming urban spaces.
Yeah.
Are you seeing a bit more wildlife sort of venturing into the city a bit?
I really think I have, and I don't know whether it's because I've had more time to see it and notice it, or also because of spring. But I've become obsessed with bird watching. I mean, I'm kind of obsessed with birds as it is, but now I've got like feeders on my balcony and seeds and stuff, and they're all coming. And actually, because a lot of my practice is based on environment and climate change and thinking about that, I think people are going to take it a lot more seriously now and realize how important it is. And even like there's just no planes in the sky at all. And in London, that's quite a big thing, always. And it's really been really lovely. And I just think that people might try and change the way they live and work to kind of be more in tune with nature. I'm hoping.
I think that I would agree. I think there are a lot of people who are hoping that this is a real time for change, for positive change with the environment. I think, and likewise, I remember the first day that I sort of properly looked up and noticed just no trails in the sky.
Yeah, it's weird.
it was a really powerful feeling. I think that it's like I say, it's not, we're not London, so we don't see quite as many, but even so, that emptiness and seeing a completely natural vista up there is really quite awe-inspiring. I think. Absolutely. So you talked a little bit about how your practice has been affected and changed slightly. Is there anything that you're specifically responding to creatively with the crisis tool?
So recently I've tried to, because basically I'm a bit of a participatory artist as well. Like I use printmaking, but I also, because I work in a gallery, I run an education department. I basically teach art a lot of the time, and a lot of my practice is based on the things that I do with kids and older people. And so I've been asking people to create a kind of little mind, it's almost like a mind map. It's a circle, because I'm also obsessed with circles, and looking at points within their life and how satisfied they are with them, and then creating a shape in this circle. And then I'm getting them to send them to me, their shapes, and I'm going to try and make, and it's kind of during this time, it's like seeing how different people's, because some people's have done more exercise, but they also feel like their sense of adventure is much, so it's looking at these different shapes and putting them all together. And it's been really nice to talk to people about their experiences and kind of try and use that in my own practice. So it has been really quite, it's given me that time to think and develop my work in a different way.
So you mentioned your studio is obviously separate to where you're living. I think you said as well that you're by yourself where you're isolating in your home.
So I am actually, my brother and his wife and their small child have moved into my house. So, which is because it's kind of like we're all working, so we all need to share. So
of course,
share the childcare basically. So and I just knew that if I was totally on my own, I would really not be doing it. I'm definitely I'm a real extrovert and thrive with other people's energy.
Yeah. So you're possibly not that necessarily the joking stereotype that artists are all used to self-isolating. Then you're very much an out there person.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that question because I thought, oh, yeah, that's not me at all. I like to have some time, like when I'm in the studio printing and in the zone, then that's really great. But I don't know how people can do that, just totally self-isolate the whole time.
I think on that note, I think it is obviously a really serious situation that we're living through, and I think there are people who are really doing that soul searching, and probably also finding it quite stressful time to go through, maybe a bit anxious as well. Is that something that you found that you were faced with at all going into this?
When I thought that I was going to be all on my own and they announced the lockdown, I literally, I was really, really anxious because I just don't spend any time on my own that much, more than a couple of days. So I'm just really lucky to how the situation's kind of panned out for me. But yes, it is, I've definitely felt it really difficult because I'm a teacher and my work is based on being with people. Like I found that really hard to move my work. So I'm working now 3 days a week instead of 4 days a week in my job and doing it all from home. And I found that like very bizarre to change, but I'm just about getting used to that.
I think that's it, isn't it? It's adapting, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think artists are good at adapting.
It's one of the things I've had conversations with people about, perhaps outside the sector as well, outside of the arts, is at this time find a creative person to consult with. An artist is will bring a very different viewpoint to a problem that you might be facing as a business in this time. And so have you managed to take some of the your educational practice online via video calls like this?
So I work with a group of young people, so we do a Zoom chat on Monday evenings, and I do quizzes for them, and because I've found that hard, especially a lot of them are quite disadvantaged, so I want to make sure that they're all okay, and not going through anything. So I also offer like a advice and support kind of thing for them. And then I'm starting a new project that I'm sending out to schools, to teachers, to send out to kids, to make some work with some artwork in a square, and then on the back of the square they're going to write a message to someone that they miss or love. And then when we all get back together, we're going to bring all these squares together and make a big installation in the gallery. So I'm really excited about that.
That sounds really lovely. I think the opportunity to start creating projects now that are going to have a final realization once this is all over is going to be really powerful, I think.
Exactly. And it's given me a bit of more of an energy, because I felt like, oh God, I've just got to do I just don't know what I'm doing with my work. But it's been really great to have this project to focus on and plan. So that's exciting.
That's really good. So we've touched on it a bit already, but is you say that's something that's helping your creative process, is really helping your well-being at this time through this?
Yeah, I think that being an artist, you're always thinking of things to do and ways to use and respond to what you see and feel. So I just feel like it's been a really great way of me processing a lot of stuff that's happening. And I have managed to do some printmaking just by hand and get back into the process, because a lot of my work is quite process based as well. So I need to be making to feel good. So I have been making, so that's been great.
That's good. It's quite a I think whilst there is lots of big bits of kit involved in printmaking, and obviously if you don't have access to your studio, it's perhaps not something that you can do in the same way as you might be able to with oils or watercolors, where you can maybe take those with you. It's also quite it's such a diverse medium, printmaking, that there are kind of those kitchen table methods that you can adapt and and do.
And it's good to test those out and actually, like, because when I go to the studio, I feel like I have to use the equipment because that's why I'm there. Whereas now I'm kind of experimenting in different ways. So it's been good for that.
Of course. What can you find around the home that is
Exactly. I've been doing a lot of collecting of random leaves and stuff. So
amazing. Excellent. Some experimental pieces to come out of this in the end as well.
Exactly.
That's really nice. So you mentioned that you've been able to keep connected with some of your students in really nice ways. Any other things that you're doing to stay connected at all with people?
We have work. So the gallery that I worked for, we have like a pub quiz every Friday night now. So that's always fun. And I also am part of a choir. So we're doing virtual choir practice, which is really, really lovely, but it's really horrible because everyone has to put it on mute. So you're just singing basically on your own. So you feel a bit stupid. But it's not really about that. It's about the coming together, I think.
You're still, as a group, you're finding the positive in that scenario, and it's not about the practice so much as it is about being able to still convene and
exactly.
It's again possibly something that we've covered a little bit already, but is the situation sort of forcing you to do anything differently at all that you want to touch on?
Yes, so I'm doing much more collage, which is something that I do in my practice before, but now I'm experimenting more with it, and that's been really interesting. And then I'm getting all my old prints and making cards out of them. And actually, it's been, I don't know if you know about the artist support pledge that's on Instagram, but it's just been really, really amazing scheme to sort of support artists, but also encourage artists to then buy some artwork from another artist.
Yeah.
And so I've been part of that, and have actually sold quite a few of my prints through that scheme. And I'm just trying to sell some of my old they're all like old prints, but they're kind of, I've turned them into cards. So I also want to make them really cheap and accessible, so that I just feel like it's a time to everyone to come together. So it's been quite nice doing stuff for other people.
I think there's a real sort of sense of community that is coming out of this all around in ways that haven't necessarily happened previously. And,
exactly.
Lots of very positive uses of technology. I think social media is being given a sort of opportunity to repay some of the debt it may have racked up in some of the negative influences at the moment.
I think you might be right.
But the artist support pledge that you mentioned is a really good initiative. I think we'll definitely make sure there's a link to that, so that people who haven't heard of it can see it. But, So the last question that we're sort of asking everyone is just a bit of a light-hearted one, just a positive one. And it's, what's on your COVID-19 playlist? What are you listening to in lockdown?
So I've become a Radio 3 fan. I never would have thought. I'm listening to a lot of Radio 3. Well, my brother works for them, so I'm probably a bit influenced by them. And it's been interesting because I'm sharing with him now. He has to he's producing lots of radio shows from the sitting room. So that's been really interesting to learn about how they can do that. With all these little setups and him speaking to the presenter and all that stuff. But I've been and then I listen, if I'm feeling a bit down, then I've been listening to loads of Madonna recently. Just loving Madonna. So quite a big range of different things.
From Radio 3 to Madonna.
Exactly.
That's a good range. I think it's interesting, isn't it? I think I think anything's got to be uplifting, hasn't it? At the moment, anything you want to listen to is it's probably not the time for the more melancholy sort of sound.
Exactly.
Like that. And like you say, broadcast as well. It's a lot of the people we've spoken to. Broadcast medium is sort of ringing out there. It's something that people are turning to.
I think that it's interesting because my brother is a key worker, even though he kind of feels like, what, I'm a music producer, but actually it's just so important for people to have that contact through listening to live radio. Absolutely.
I think again it's something that we will all appreciate far more coming out of here, is that and I think the BBC in particular is the services that they do provide us, and whether it's from a very practical news perspective all the way through to the amazing arts and culture offer that they are. They've really gone into during this, which is again shows the value that we do place on
and I really hope that, I think that maybe more people than ever will visit galleries and things now after this.
I hope so.
I think that there is that real joy of seeing something in real life, and I think that will be something that people will really appreciate again.
I think so. Everyone's doing things like this. We're making the most of what we can with the technology that's at our disposal, but it isn't a substitute. I think you're quite right. It is a real hope that we'll be able to go back to really appreciating those spaces.
Hopefully the government will value the arts a little bit more, maybe, because I think that they have been essential in people's well-being. really during this time.
Absolutely, and I think there'll be a really there's going to be a new and very versatile role for the arts to play. I think it's it definitely, I think, will not be seen as a luxury as it may have been restricted to in the past. These are real essentials of human life. I think that we're cross
fingers.
absolutely. Fingers crossed.